Todd here, Center Valley Customs. Welcome back to those of you that follow the channel. To everyone else, welcome, and hopefully you start following the channel. Today, this sits because we're waiting on parts. So, once we get parts here, we'll get back on that. For today, in the meantime, we're going to do something I really want, but I physically really don't want to do. And that's work on this Camaro. So, background on this car. This is an 84 Z28, not an IROC. I don't think IROCs came out until 85, if I'm correct. If I'm wrong, let me know. I don't know. But this car was my uncle's car. When I was a kid, this was like his daily driver. And actually, he's had like 6 or 7 of them. Lime green, blue, red, brown, gray. And now he's got a 61st gen that I've been trying to get off of him, but I'm trying to trade him back this one for first gen, and he ain't let me do it. He ain't going for it. Anyway, I got this car probably 3 or 4 years ago, and previously to when I got it, it sat for 19 years. I'll throw a picture up of where it was sitting and whatever. When I got it, it had no intake on it, no carburetor. I think the valve covers were missing, no distributor. Pretty much just the block and the heads were sitting in it, open for 19 years. I got it, I pulled the motor out. I don't think I pulled the block apart or I pulled the pistons or anything out. I think I just kind of tore it down, cleaned it up, and regasketed it, put an intake on it, distributor, whatever. After that, I drove it for maybe a year, but it never had that great of power. So I ended up, I did a compression test, and I found out that a lot of the cylinders were low. So I ended up pulling the motor out. Turns out there were 4 of the 8 pistons had broken oil/combustion lands. I'll send a picture, throw a picture up of that right now. Okay, anyway. So I pulled it out and I went through the whole thing. New bearings, new pistons. It's got high top, -14 cc high top pistons, Icon forged. It's got forged H-beam rods in it, tri-metallic bearings. Why, if they're needed, I don't know, but it's a higher RPM motor, so I did that. Pretty much the whole bottom end is forged. So what's in this car? This is not a 5.0 HO. That's been gone a long time. This is actually a 327 small journal block with a 283 crank in it. So it's technically a 302. The only Ford 302 that was made with the distributor in the back. Just kidding. But that's what people, when I tell them it's a 302, they tell me I'm a liar and they say, oh no, it's a 305. I was like, no, it's 302. Technically, it actually is 305 because it's bored out 30. I think it's bored 30 over. But I went through this motor, completely rebuilt it. It's got a crane. I believe it's a crane. Energy 284. I can't remember exactly. I put all comp springs in it. It's got aftermarket aluminum heads, which are just a cheap head. But all the valve train is brand new, crane, roller rockers, all that kind of thing. So they're 64 cc heads. So with the pistons and the head gasket thickness at 40 thousandths and the heads, whatever, high top pistons, whatever, it's 11.5 to 1. So it's pushing some compression, which is weird because the new motors nowadays you get in vehicles are 11 to 1. All day, every day. But in a small block Chevy, if you get up, 11.5 to 1, that's a lot of compression for a small block. Odin, get out of here. So that's kind of that. The issue that I have with this motor, not really the motor, transmission I should say, is this motor is a high RPM motor. The cam that's in this car, the power band is like 3 to 6,000 or something like that. So it has no low end torque. You're supposed to have a 2,500 to 3,000 stall in this to run, or for the cam. This is what the cam requires or recommends. And this has a stock torque converter. So I bought a new torque converter, new used torque converter, and we're gonna throw that in. I'll show you that in a while, but first I'll pop this hood and we can kind of peek around in it, show you what it looks like, I guess, and kind of go from there. So this is the motor. Like I said, this is a small journal 327 with a 283 crank. I put a RPM Performer Edelbrock intake on it. It's got a 600 Holly on it right now, which if you watch the video or follow along with the channel, I had a 750 Brawler on this. And the reason I went to a 750 Brawler is because I felt like the secondaries on the carb weren't opening soon enough. Because when you drive it, it really doesn't get in the power band until you're like 4,500 RPM is when it really starts to pull. And I thought maybe a bigger carb, it wasn't getting enough fuel. It didn't really make a difference. And when you do the mathematicals based on your engine efficiency and how much volume of air you got and all that kind of thing, I think a 600 is like borderline too big. But these motors, a 302 used to come in a first gen Camaro, and they would run 750s on them stock. So I don't know. Odin's over here coughing and about to die. He's been sneezing nonstop lately. So that's that. I put these heads on last spring. Like I said, I don't even remember what brand they are, but they are like a cheaper brand, like a Edelbrock knockoff. And I bought the biggest ones I could find. And I can't remember the specs off the top of my head. I think they flow like 215, something like that. But the ports are super big. The intake ports are really big. And the only intake I could find that would like port match the intake runners was like some ginormous single plane out the hood intake. So I ended up buying this intake, putting on it, and it's borderline big enough to cover the intake ports, to be honest with you. Jesus Lord, dude, chill out, get it under control. Got a hairball? Anyway, so we're gonna get this in the garage so I can start tearing it out. I have no idea what all needs to come out of this to get the transmission out. I've put the motor in this car twice, and it wasn't fun getting at the bell housing bolts. So I don't even know if I can get at them now with the distributor and everything else in it. And it's just gonna suck. I mean, it really is. It's gonna be rolling around on the ground non-stop fighting with this thing. So, but before I can do that, I have to move that, get all this picked up and push all that stuff. I got to make some room, let's put it that way. And my mobile cherry picker, aka my tractor, has been in the shop again for the last month. That thing's been in the shop more than I've physically had it since I bought it. So chances are when I get that back, gone. So I'm gonna clean up this mess, let that cool down because I just drove it. And so the videos, clips that I put in after this are actually gonna be from before because I just went and got my hairs cut. Yeah. Odin, get out of here. Okay. This thing sounds awesome. Usually starts right up. Pump her twice. It's a little cold-blooded. thing sounds good. Alright, let's go get a haircut and do a little torque converter testing. Okay, so we're in private testing grounds here. So mainly what I want to know is in first gear, where does this start to push? Where does it start to push the car? So right there, about 2,000 RPM. We're going to go with a 3,000 stall. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to start pushing at 3,000. It's really based on like your cam and gear ratio and weight of the car and all that kind of thing. But I just wanted like a baseline to see, after we replace the torque converter, what we gain. So with this, we'll see if we can do this, but it might get a little squirrely on me. It doesn't have, this motor doesn't have low end torque. So it's usually pretty hard to spin the back tires, but I don't know if I can do this with one hand. Well, one hand holding the camera and then me, but we'll see if we can light them up. Oh yeah, she burns, but it'll be better once we get that torque converter in here. This guy's watching us too, so I don't know. One of the funnest things to do in this car is in second gear, just run her all the way out to 7 grand. Just pin her. Once you hit about, I don't know, 4,500, it'll just want to go. She'll take it until one day it doesn't. Then we'll LS swap it. Well, I got the lift kit put on. Getting this jacked up was not fun. And as I was jacking this up, I found this trailing arm, or whatever you want to call it, is bent. Looks like maybe somebody tried jacking it up from there, because I don't know how else that would get bent. I also had 2 loose lug nuts on this side, so that's good. The other thing I found already while laying under here, I got this, I ate lunch, cleaned this out, jacked it up, and then I've probably been laying under here for half hour, just staring. Seems to be leaking a little oil from somewheres. I'm assuming the rear main seal, like every other small block Chevy, but it is what it is. The other thing I found, I don't know if these lights are helping or not, my shift linkage has always been kind of screwy, and I was wondering if there's some adjustment in here. It looks like there might be something here, but this probably isn't helping any. Those 2 bolts are, well, that one's like barely holding on, and this one's loose too. So that's probably where my slop was coming in the shifter. It's been like that since I've had it. And I've rolled under here, or tried to at least, to see if there was any adjustment in here, which actually I think there might be a little bit in here, but I didn't notice this. Whatever. So the more and more I lay under here and stare at this, the more and more I do not want to do it, because it's going to suck. But this whole, like, GM has this, the Camaros have this, I don't even know what you want to call this. Not a torque tube, but like a ladder bar thing that goes all the way to this transmission. I don't really know how this comes apart. I don't know if you have to take it apart down there on the differential, and then this just slides out of here maybe. But it looks like there's 2 long bolts, and maybe one on the top, that go through this, which you can't get out because there's not enough room over here to get them out. I'm sorry, this side to get them out. So I don't really know how this whole ordeal is going to come about getting apart. The speed cable's got to come out. Obviously this is already halfway out, thanks to whoever did that. I'll take this cover off. That's where I'm going to start. Get this cover off so I can see if this is all full of oil inside here. That'll tell me if it's the rear main. Although it's a 2-piece rear main seal, so I don't think you can change them in the vehicle. Unless maybe they make like a, I don't know, maybe they make a one-piece kit or something. I don't think so. I don't know. Anyway, so I've stared at this so long that I just lost all ambition, but staring at it's not going to get it done. So unfortunately, I'm just going to start getting this cover off. I'd like to drain this fluid out before I drop it. I got a different detent cable for the throttle valve, whatever. It's not a kickdown, it's whatever they call it, a kickdown, but it's technically not a kickdown. I got a new cable because the original one screwed up. I should have ordered a Summit one, but honestly I didn't know I was going to do this today. So yeah, those two bolts, fix my mic here. The two bell housing bolts are way up on top, so I'm pretty much going to assume that that distributor, excuse me, is going to have to come out. Luckily, somebody already labeled all of the wires. Me, probably, the last time I did this. But yeah, it's already 4:30. I did a lot of running around this morning and got to this pretty late, so I'm going to start taking things apart and draining fluids and everything else. And I can't. There's oil in there, but not like terrible. Alright, I got one of these nuts off on this, whatever the heck this thing's called. I don't know if there's any pressure on here or not. Put a jack under here just to make sure that it don't just come down. But they're not easy to get to, and I don't really have the right. They're 21 millimeter, but I got a 7/8 wrench up there. Okay. Come on. Ouch. Okay, so there's obviously no pressure on there. Washer. Yeah, maybe there is. Let's set it up. Do I jack this up? Should grab a hammer. That's what I should do. Of course, that ain't gonna come out because the bolt's too long. Which means I have to jack the back up again, lower the axle down to get this out. Okay, I got this torque tube pinion thingamajigger out of here. Now that we got that out, we might as well just 4-link it. Just kidding. But after I got that out and put it back on the jack stands, when those are really tall, the back of the car was just wobbling back and forth. Even sketchier than my standards, and I do some sketchy crap. So now I got the quad jacks, 2 underneath the body here and 2 under the axle supporting that. So be safe, don't be stupid. It's pretty solid now, way better than it was. So I'm going to drop the drive shaft out of it and then start probably undoing the torque converter bolts and start undoing the transmission bolts there. Once we get the bell housing bolts out, we should be able to drop this cross member, rear cross member for the transmission here, and it should be sitting pretty. Sounds easy, but it's not going to be. Now get these. These I'm going to leave in. Just going to loosen them. I think grab a screwdriver. These I'm going to take out completely. Ah! It's already leaking out of the back. Damn it. That was not the plan. Where did this stock nut come from? Now that I have transmission fluid in my fresh haircut, and I don't want to look under there anymore. All over here. Alright, my plan was for this to dump forward. There we go. Okay, while that's draining, I gotta go take care of something, and then I'll be back. Alright, just had to evict a chipmunk that the cats brought in. They have their own door from the garage, and sometimes they think that other animals should live with us too. Rabbits, birds, chipmunks. There's one right there, cat. Alright. What are we at? Some material in here, but nothing crazy. Alright, so now I can put this back on. I just wanted to drain most of this out. I'll replace this filter. I have a new one. And then that detent cable, where does that come into play? If there's a pressure switch, it should be over here. All right, here. Well, I got the torque converter bolts out. Everything underneath I think is pretty much disconnected until we get these top bell housing bolts out. So after further investigation, that distributor is going to have to come out, which kind of sucks because in order to get it out, I have to take the rotor off, and it like barely fits, barely comes out of there. So I'm going to yank that distributor out. There's a oil pressure sensor right there. That's going to come out. And then on the other side here, I'm going to take these heater core hoses off in hopes that I don't get coolant all over everywhere. So, but I almost think that's where my oil is coming from, is out of the distributor, because there's oil above the bell housing of the transmission. So if it was rear main seal, it ain't getting above the bell housing. So I might double gasket that distributor when I put it back in, just to make sure it's sitting down tight enough and sealing. But I'm going to start tearing the top of this apart, get this all out. I'll mark the distributor where it's at. Timing it's no big deal, whatever. That's not a big deal. Whatever. It's just more stuff to take off is really the only issue with it. So I got the distributor out, and I guess I don't need to take anything else out. Maybe that pressure sensor, we'll see once I get that far. But can you see that bolt way down there, right there? Well, I'm actually able to get on it with my swivelly ratchet here, so it actually won't be that bad. But I already got it on once, and that bolt's already loose. So yeah, last time I put this motor in, I must have just got it snug enough and called it good enough. I'm not really sure, but I can get on it. So I'm going to get that one bolt out and then try the next one. Okay, I do not own a transmission jack, but I do own a jack and I own a transmission. So I'm going to undo these cross member bolts, and we're going to see how well this transmission balances on this 4x4. I do have two tranny cooler lines up here that I got to undo once I get it lowered down enough, but this is about to get sketch. Real sketch. This is not a 15mm socket. Damn it. Ugh. Okay. I feel like I should support the motor somehow, but I'm going to rely on the exhaust to do that. If things go sideways, I'll get a ratchet strap or something. What? Apparently I need a new tranny mount. That one, it wasn't sticking to that anymore, which makes sense. Okay, that transmission has to come back off the dowels. So I'm going to get a pry bar in there and hopefully get it back a little bit. Just a little bit yet. Okay. So we are off the dowels. So I'm going to try to come down a hair. Easy, easy, easy. Okay, let's see if I can get to these lines. Actually, let's see if we can come down a little more. Oh, okay, now she's starting to twist. So we're stuck on those lines now, I think. I got those tranny cooler lines undid. Should be able to come down as long as our dipstick comes out on its own. We need to move back off of this flex plate like we are, and get out of the starter like we are. Wants to fall forward. Bolts or something's falling out. Okay, go slow, please. Slow, please. Okay, I'm going to stop so I can adjust the rear off the exhaust and check my dipstick tube. Make sure that came out. Okay. That dipstick tube is still in there a little bit, but it's pinched and everything else. So I'm just gonna let it play its course more or less and see what happens. If I need to get a new one, I gotta get a new one. Something happened. I'm on the exhaust again. Ooh. Should go see if it come out. Ooh, hardware keeps falling out. Okay, stay. I said stay. Okay, dipstick tube's out. So now, if this doesn't fall over, I should be able to just come down. I wish I was on the other side. This ain't good now. Let's try to pull. Oh yeah, that's gonna fall over. Come on. Come back this way. Come to Papa. Come on, come to Papa. There we go. Okay. Still not good. If I could push this back. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah. This is probably gonna smash some shit. Just go slow. Down easy. Oh, stop, stop, stop. Hopefully that didn't get destroyed. Okay. Take 2. Or 12. Or something. Slow, slow, I said. Oh, my dipstick tube again. Okay, we're down with the jack. So now, how do we get this off of here is the question. If I roll it this way, off of here, don't smash all this stuff. Put that over there. Slide this way. Oh, okay, never mind. There we go, like that. Get this out of here. There. Y'all didn't think that was going to work, did you? Remember what I said? I do a lot of things by myself. I do a lot of things by myself. That's right. Y'all didn't think I was going to get that out by myself on that jack like that, did you? I know. Got a little sketchy at times, but it is what it is. I am definitely going to need help, though, getting it back in. I won't be able to get that in by myself. So hopefully Travis will be around tomorrow. I haven't talked to him yet, but hopefully he has some time and he doesn't have anything personal in his personal life going on that he can't help me. But that's it for the night. It's a big job. Like I said, I didn't start doing this until like 4:30. It's only like 8:30 right now. It took me like 4 hours to get this transmission out, which I think that's pretty damn good. Damn microphone. I do need to get a tranny mount because that was ripped completely off. And actually, when I took the drive shaft out, at the tail shaft, I could see where the yoke was hitting the floor. And every once in a while, when I really get on it, I could hear something clunking, and I'm sure that's what it was. So, yeah, found a couple things I don't like, but it is what it is. We can fix it, and it'll just be a better car at the end of the day. So I'm gonna have me a couple snacks and then go to bed. See you tomorrow. New day. I have driven all over town and went to every store about 6 times. Trying to get parts and trying to get stuff for a project for my father-in-law. I got almost all the way home and I forgot that I didn't get a transmission dipstick gasket thing, this piece. So I ended up having to turn around, go all the way back, got into a little confrontation, I guess, with the O'Reilly guy. I was right. I got the part. Anyway, so now we're going to replace this this throttle valve position cable, something like that. Formerly known as a kickdown. On a 700R4, it doesn't have a kickdown. It just has like a little valve inside that monitors where your throttle position is, whatever. Anyway, this one is broke here. I tried gluing it at one time and whatever. These cables are garbage. If you can get one from Summit, they make a nice one. Buy that one. Don't buy these crappy ones. But anyway, you got to take this one M6 or 10mm bolt out of here. And then there's, on this end, there should be like a little pin or something that clips into here. Generally, people do this with the pan off, but I've seen people do it with the pan on. I'm going to attempt to do it with the pan on, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, let's see how this goes. Get this bolt out of here. So if I know what I'm talking about, which is really far-fetched, I think I can pull this up, hook whatever is hooked to this with a screwdriver, and then put the new one on, I think. Yeah, right here. Okay, so hook this somehow, or just grab it with your hand, or just let it fall. Okay, well, apparently you can just hook it on right there. That doesn't seem right, though. I feel like this should be down farther. Is that right? Maybe that's right. Well, maybe that's right. I'm going to clean this surface up a little bit here, quick. Oh my lord. Hook it. Maybe if I hook this and then just shove it up in there. Alright, something like that. I'll pull on this. Alright, there we go. Now, hopefully this just pushes into here. Like that. Beautiful. Alright. Next thing up is to replace this transmission mount. So I got a new one. I went to go get a new, I tried to get a new torque arm bushing, but nobody had one in stock. I went to 2 or 3 different places. Nobody had one. Half the places told me they couldn't get one or don't even know what it is. Whatever. So I didn't get one. The hardware that came with it is different. So I'm just going to reuse this. Which way does this go on? Does it matter? Probably doesn't matter. I'll do it this way. Okay. Now this bracket here, it's 1 bolt in the middle. Okay, the angled portion goes to the back. Now how am I going to get this on here? Where'd my 4x4 go? Maybe I can set this on my 4x4. No. Yeah. Right there. No. Right there. All right. This is probably going to tip over, smash my cable. Okay, something like that. Tighten it up a little bit. I'll leave it kind of loose until I get it in the car, and then I can tighten it down completely. We can move on to our torque converter now. So this is a Hughes 22-30L. I don't know what the 22 means. I don't know what the L means. Maybe L is for lockup, I bet. So 30 is the series. This is a 30 series. This is, I think they call it the Pro Street. So this is a street converter. Obviously they make converters for anything and everything. This isn't like a billet one. This isn't some crazy performance converter. It's a 3000 stall. I found this on the marketplace. So I've wanted a stall converter for quite a while, and one day this just popped up. So I think I gave like $300 for this converter. On Summit it's like $850 or something. So good deal as long as it works. The guy that had it before me had it in a car, and he ended up going to a manual transmission, so he didn't need it anymore. So that's that. So just like we did with Taylor's car here, and we put that converter in, we need to fill this thing up with fluid. It's already got fluid in it, so I don't know that it's going to take much, but I'm going to put in as much as I possibly can. And then we'll get this stabbed in the transmission and start getting that put back in the car. So that'll be fun. I said I'd wait for Travis, but I don't know what he has planned today. So long story short, I'm going to end up just stabbing this thing in by myself probably, or attempting to at least. It'll probably fall off 6 times and everything else. But anyway. So, like I said, I don't know that this is going to take much fluid at all. Honestly, it might be full already. You do not want to put these converters in empty. You will burn them up or do whatever. I don't know what happens, but I just know that you want to try to get as much fluid in as you possibly can. That's a special technique. It doesn't do anything. We're ready to get this stabbed in here. Now you got to be kind of careful with aftermarket converters because they usually are a little tighter than like a stock one. So a lot of times they don't go in. You need to make sure that they're in, put it that way. So I want to lube up this seal. Make sure that's got, I don't ruin it. Lube this up. Okay, so when you put this in, you want to be careful you don't smash this snout against your seal here. So try to be careful, but try to be quick so you don't dump fluid all over. You should hear like 3 clunks. Sometimes the first 2 slide right in, but you should hear like 3 clunks. There should be, you have whatever this snout spline is, then another one, and then the converter actually sits in these holes here, these 2 slots. In the end of this shaft on your transmission, that's where the fluid comes out that is for your lockup. I don't know, I think there's pressure there all the time, and then when you have lockup, there's a solenoid that shuts the pressure off. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it works. And you want to make sure that this O-ring is good too. There should be a seal in here that seals that lockup. So let's try to get this stabbed in here without dumping fluid everywhere. Okay, there's 1. There's 2. There's 3. Okay. So usually there's about a 2-finger depth. If you stick your fingers here, whatever, 2-finger depth, and it's all the way in. But give her a couple spins, make sure it ain't hitting anything. Should be good. This is a 10-inch, whereas the stock one's like 12 or something like that, 13, I don't know. But it's a lot smaller, so it should spin up quicker, I would assume. Yeah. So now the fun part. I'm going to slide this underneath the car, try to get it on that jack. This should be interesting. All right. I got this slid under here. This should be an absolute blast to watch. I stared at a transmission jack at Harbor Freight today for probably 20 minutes. It was like a return. So it was like 180 bucks or something. And then I decided I'm going to do it like a man. Struggle. So first thing is getting it on this jack. My transmission jack. I don't know how I'm going to do that quite yet. Maybe if I can pick this up and slide this under like so. Let's oh, look at that. Like it was made for it. Okay, so now, without pinching my fingers, I don't know, maybe I just start going up. Try to use the legs here. Once I get it up, I should actually probably try to fish this up right now and try to line up my dipstick. I should have also gotten all these wires and stuff tied up. So maybe I should try to do all that first before I get too crazy. Well, all right, I think I'm ready for liftoff. So, I got all my wiring out of the way up there. I kind of stuffed that cable up a little bit, so I'm just going to go up slow. Not that I can go up fast, I got to use my legs. Why is this moving around so much? I need to come way closer, and this has got to go that way. Let's shove that over there for now, I guess. Okay, let's see if I can move this towards me without dumping this off. Oh boy. Oh, that's not a good place to put my hand. Oh. Okay, I need to come about that far that way, but how without knocking this off? Whew, don't move like that. Oh. Just snake it in. Okay, let's try that once. Oh, on the exhaust. Okay, I need to go check my dipstick, see if I can get that. It's probably still going to be too low. Way down here. Look at these lines. Maybe I can get those started before I get too high. We'll take a look over on the other side. Where is that exhaust? Back there. I don't want to hit that either. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That ain't good. That's not good. No, not good at all. That's not good at all. If I let go of this jack, it's going to shit out. Oh, come on, get back up there. Come on. Come on. Come on. Couldn't do it. What am I hitting? Should I just lower it down? Oh, come on. Slide up. Okay. There we go. No problems here. Don't worry about any of this. This is perfectly normal. This is normal. Perfectly normal. Just need to slide this up here. Okay. There we go. Whew. Give her one more and she should be tight. Alright, that's tight. Okay. Now we can get this slammed up there. Just get my transmission, oh, right there, it's in there now. And go up slowly. Alright, going up some more. Check my dipstick tube once I get up here. Okay, pretty damn close. I just want to make sure my dipstick tube is in, and then I should be able to send it home. Alright, we're just going to go up and hope that I can get that dipstick in there. One side's on the dowel, so I should throw a bolt in there if I can. If I can. Keyword. Well, I got that transmission in all by myself, like I said. I can do it. I can do anything by myself. Look at that nice, pretty red Hughes. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Can't wait to do another. Just kidding. I'm gonna get all the bell housing bolts in. You don't need to watch me struggle with that for 3 hours. And then once I get that done, we'll drop the pan, change the filter, put a new gasket on, put that all on, and then just reverse osmosis from there. Yeah, actually didn't go as bad as I expected. One little sketchy spot, that's about it. So get this all bolted up, go from there. Alright, so I switched gears a little bit. Actually had to run to town. So I was finishing up the underneath. I got the speedo cable in, the lockout wiring hooked up, whatever, bell housing bolts in. And I went to put the bolts in the torque converter, and I thought I needed 7/16 20 bolts, but I was wrong. So I went to town, I went to 3 different places. I got 3/8 24 bolts. They fit in the hole, but they're sloppy. And then it hit me, they were metric in the old one. So tomorrow morning, I'm gonna grab M10s. I have M10s, but they're not grade 8s. So tomorrow morning, early, I'll grab different bolts and throw that together early, and the cover, they'll take 15 minutes. Side note, Powerade and Emergency, don't recommend it. Oh, nasty. I'm starting to get a headache, so trying to nip that in the butt quick. So I'm going to throw the distributor in. I already put that oil pressure sensor thing in. My marks kind of came off, so I actually set the motor to top dead center. That way I can just drop it in like normal, and I'll throw a timing light on it when we get it running. Which leads me to another thing. So these headers are an absolute nightmare because they like to eat wires, and you can't get the plugs out with a standard plug socket. So I made this plug socket, which you can buy these, but I cut this as short as possible, and then I drilled out the center so I could use just a 3/4 inch wrench to get them in and out. Also, like I kind of said in one of my last videos, I run a 60,000 shim on these plugs, because the first time I ran this, it ran like garbage. And that's because the pistons self-gap my plugs closed on a handful of them that were, I assume, the electrode down. So I bought these spark plug shims. They come a whole bunch of different thicknesses, 60,000s to like 10, I don't know. And initially what I was trying to do was index these so that the electrode was to the top, but it was too time consuming, and I needed different shims for different cylinders, and I threw a 60,000ths on it, ran them in, called it good. So when I built the motor, or put the heads on I should say, I did check like my valve clearance to piston clearance, and that was fine. I never even thought about the plugs. So if you have high top dome pistons, think about your plugs too before you get, I suppose you really, yeah, whatever. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, I'm gonna throw the distributor in, try to get this all buttoned up, then we'll go back underneath, drop the pan, change the filter, put a new gasket on, set that TC cable, and throw the drive shaft in, that stupid torque arm thing, and it should be pretty well buttoned up for tomorrow morning. So I gotta have this out of here done tomorrow morning, because after my wife comes home, we go up to Michigan for the weekend for 4th of July, and I need to do a project for my father-in-law before we can go up there. So this needs to be out of here early. So let's get this done. All right, new day. Yesterday that distributor really kicked my ass, and started getting a headache, and I didn't feel very well. So plus my batteries all died, my GoPro and whatnot. So I got this 90% done. I just went and got new bolts. So I got some M10 flange bolts. These are grade 8, or 10.9 is grade 8 in metric. And I got some of these flange nuts that have like a serrated edge so that they don't come loose. So I'm gonna quick bolt the torque converter together, get that cover on, finish putting that torque arm thing in. I got one bolt in, but I gave up yesterday when I had to jack the car up because I got to drop the axle to get the other bolt in. That's where I pretty much gave up, and I just was not feeling good. I didn't eat all day, and I was getting jittery and whatnot, so whatever. This has got to get out of here ASAP, so I'm going to finish this up quick on my own. Then we can put some fluid in this and take it for a drive, and go from there. All right, I put almost a gallon in. That should be enough for now. I'm going to hook up my timing light here. Well, I just got to put power to it anyways. I think I'm ready to start this thing. Hopefully I got the distributor in right. And yeah, let's do it. Please nothing go bad. All right, I got this thing fired up and we're gonna take her for a drive and see how it goes. Currently it doesn't really feel much different. Oh, holds that gear way too long. Probably gonna have to adjust that throttle cable. Yeah. I think I might adjust that throttle cable when I get up here. I was hoping I wouldn't have to touch it, but once I played with my idle, I probably threw it all out of whack. So it's not where I meticulously set it up, whatever, with the pan off. So that kind of sucks. So I might have to go back to the old go full throttle, adjust the cable trick. Yeah, this feels, it's not shifting right, which it never really did. I always manually shifted usually. Right now it's shifting way too early. So I think I'm gonna do that quick. I don't know which way to go though. Probably longer, makes sense. So I'm gonna whip in here, adjust it a little bit, and then I'll get back to you. Well, it's adjusted pretty much all the way out. I don't know which way does what. If it holds the gear longer with the cable shorter or out farther. Yeah, I think that cable needs to be pushed in instead of out. Wow, it's super doggy now. Thing's not running right. Try to manually shift it and see if that helps. But I'm thinking that TV cable is messed up. Something ain't right with that. Definitely feels like it's got a little more torque though, which is what we want. This thing sounds awesome. Definitely different from what I'm used to. Normally I'll shift it manually because it never really seemed to shift in the right spot, and I just downshifted and it just damn near R'd out. So it's definitely a lot different. I should try adjusting that cable a little more. I don't know. Definitely pulls a lot earlier in the RPM band anyway. Starts pulling now down like 3,500. So I think it's doing what I want, but I gotta figure out the shifting a little bit. It's holds the gear way too, it shifts way too early. Doesn't hold it long enough, so it shifts so soon that the motor just bogs down. Unless you shift it manually, then it's great. Alright, I moved that cable in a little more now. See if it holds gear better or does it make a difference? I don't know. Really, it's going to be in those weights on the side. I can't remember what they call them. Not a synchro. I can't remember the word. But that's really what I got to be playing with for my shifts. My shifting. That's a little better though now. Yeah, it's a little better now. I could probably go in a little more and it would probably be just fine. Lockup seems to be working. Better. Not bad. Not bad at all. Alright, so we're going to do our little test here. So before we would stall, we'd start to pull. I don't know if you can even see it at 2,000 RPM. So we'll see what we get now. So it's starting. So it's not really any better. Yeah, 2,500. We gained like 500 RPM. But again, it's really going to be dependent on like the weight of your car and all that kind of thing. But let's see how she does ripping them. If I can even get this, if I can do this. Not bad. It's hard to do this with one hand. Let's see what happens in drive. I think it's going to shift way too early, and it's not going to want to. It's not going to want to go at all. Okay. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, it shifts way too early. It wants to catch the next gear, but it can't. And then it bogs the motor right out. So definitely gonna have some definitely got to play with it a bit, but I'm gonna get this back to the house, check my tranny fluid level, make sure that's good, and then probably make it a wrap at that. Well, I made it back. I checked the tranny fluid, good, perfect level. All in all, I think it was worth doing for sure. I definitely need to work on my shift points. That's not necessarily in that TV cable. You can adjust it a little bit to help, but more or less there's a, I can't remember what they call it, a governor in there that has weights on it, and you can get different ones and different weights to help with shift points, and that's pretty much what I'm gonna have to look into. It needs to hold the gear longer so that the motor stays in the higher RPM range because it has no low end torque. But all in all, good. It's great. Glad I did it. I need to figure out where my oil leak is coming from. I don't believe that's the remain seal, but it did leak a little oil, just setting timing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. That's just a little intro to the Camaro. I got a headliner. Well, I ordered one like a month ago and it's still not here. The rear link bars, I can't remember what they're called. A-arms, control arms. I have an idea, because if we take the stock ones off to replace them, we might as well put something decent in here. So I think I'm going to order a whole kit for that, for the rear end, and make that all nice and stiff. Although I do need to put a gas tank in this. The gas, like I said, this car sat for 19 years, so the gas tank is pretty rusty. I got to replace fuel filters quite often, and even at that, the fuel filter doesn't catch it all, so I got to pull the carb off and clean the carb quite often. So while we do that, we might as well put a fuel tank in this thing, or at least take this one out and clean it. But other than that, I don't have a lot for this car, unless the motor goes. Then we're going to LS swap it, which is what that LS originally was for, but I kind of fell in love with this small block, and I wanted to keep it. So I built it, and I'll run it until it blows up, and then on to the next one. So that's all I got. I appreciate you sticking it out this far if you did. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that garbage. probably be on the Malibu or the Chevelle next. So stick around. Appreciate you watching. Catch you on the next one.